And that's the end of the first half. As the teams head to the locker room, the Spartans lead the Bulldogs by a score.
You guys stink.
Geez, Coach, we're only down a couple of points.
No, I mean you guys really smell. You need to hit the showers. And here, I got every one of you new bars of soap from the Sterling Soap Company. Each bar is artisan crafted using natural ingredients and essential oils. They also have shave soaps, colognes, beard balm, and a whole lot more. Now get in there.
But Coach, we have another half to play.
I don't care. I can't stand to be around you.
A few minutes later.
All right, bring it in tight. You guys are still playing terrible, but you're smelling great out there. Now listen, you're going to need to stock up for the rest of the season. We got a lot of tough games left. So go to sterlingsoap.com after the game. That's STIRLING soap.com. You got that?
Yes, Coach.
Great. Sterlingsoap.com on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sterlingsoap.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Today, I am joined once again by my friend and fellow sports historian, Dave DePaolo. And today, we're going to be discussing the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I guess more specifically, we're going to talk about why some of the it seems like the modern day players are getting in very quickly and without hardly any waiting, while the guys from many years ago had to wait a long time to get in. And I believe that's probably mostly because of media coverage, how much media coverage there is. Probably in the past 30 years, maybe even more than that, there has been, 24-hour sports coverage, and we just didn't have that years ago. So I'll let you go first, Dave, whatever you wanted to talk about first.
Well, Mark, it was a good week to do it. I mentioned to you when we talked over the, computer and about how the world was in a complete disarray with this Belichick. It was the talk of the week, easily. Nothing even close.
Right.
And I had left the message up on the one of the videos I was watching, saying that there's guys that have been involved with the Hall of Fame voting who were older players who were sick. They were not well at the end. Right. They didn't even know really what was going on. Mick Tingelhoff was one of them, that's a heartbreaking video if you watch that. Yeah. Mick Tingelhoff. He goes into the Hall of Fame, and Fran Tarkenton is in tears. He's presenting him, and he doesn't want to speak. He asks him, would you like to see him? No.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, and Chuck Howley recently, we were there.
Yep.
His brother had to accept for it, right?
Right.
And he's still alive, Chuck Howley, but he's not there. And so, I said that it's the crime of the century. It's exactly how I worded it, but this has been going on for long. But because it was Belichick, I had one kid lecturing me, telling me, he's the greatest guy. He's this, he's that, he's the greatest. He's got the second most. I'm well aware. I said, I don't need to be preached to. I'm 66 years old.
Right.
I said, the bottom line is first of all, he's not the greatest coach, okay? I'll argue that with anybody. And I said there'll be nobody bigger to the Hall of Fame and to professional than George Halas.
Right.
He's the guy that created it. He's the guy coached for 40 years, okay? And, and secondly, he's not even really an innovator, okay? Belichick. And then now the third thing, too, is before and after Brady, he never did a thing. I hate to say, I don't want to get down to too much about him, but I was thinking of all these things when I was writing, and I'm not saying he's not great. He's one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
But I wouldn't say the greatest of all time. But, you take a guy like Landry, he was inventing concepts that are still used today.
Yeah.
They don't understand that part of coach. It's not just about wins, okay?
No.
It's not just about wins.
No.
He's the greatest winner of all time, okay? No doubt about that. But there's way more. Same thing with players. But if you get down to the voting, I looked into it. So they narrow it down every year to 15 what they call modern players, where after you retire, you're eligible for after 5 years. And once you get to your 25th year of eligibility, you now become a senior member.
Right.
So you go into a different category. So you have 15 players, and then they group a set of 5, which are 3 seniors, a coach, and an owner. That's what it happened to be this year.
Right.
Okay? And the 3 senior players were Elsie Greenwood, and they were Roger Craig and Kenny Anderson, lumped in with the Kraft, the owner for the Patriots, and Belichick, the coach. And
Right.
so you got to get 80% of those 50 votes. So you need 40%. You need 40% of the guys. I mean, 80. You need 40 guys out of the 50. I'm sorry. And evidently, the word leaked out. It wasn't even supposed to leak out.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to leak out, and it did. And then it became all this stuff. And then Kraft didn't get in. You notice that leaked out.
Oh.
He's not getting in now, they say. And now the big thing is, are they going to do this to Brady when he's eligible? Are they going to do it? And so I hate to say it. I don't know how you fix it, but when you got guys voting,
Right.
and they're going to hold a grudge against somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, then anything's possible, And they kept Terrell Owens. Look, I wasn't a big fan of Terrell Owens, but he was one of the greatest receivers that ever played.
Right.
And they kept him out for 2 years. He didn't get in. And then when he did get in, he didn't even go to his own ceremonies. It could show you how wacky he is. But, I mean, he just had a video. I did not watch it yet. But he's on there now. He just came on 2 days ago or yesterday talking about that the process needs to be changed. I should have watched that video before we did this show. But I'd love to hear what he has to say about that.
Right. Well,
when
you have guys on the committee that are, making it personal, it's not supposed to be that way. Whether you like a guy or you don't like a guy has nothing to do with the voting. I mean, if the guy deserves it, he deserves it. It doesn't matter if you have a grudge against him or your personal feelings for him. That's not supposed to come into play. But unfortunately, it does. And it happens
Mark.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it happens with the Baseball Hall of Fame, too. Same thing happens.
That's right.
There was a guy for the Red Sox, Rice. What was his first name? Boston Red
Jim Rice.
Jim Rice.
That's right.
I don't know if he ever got in or not, but he was a guy that did not get along with the media. He didn't like doing interviews. He wouldn't talk to the media. And they held it against him, even though he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, listen. On that note, Mark, I looked up who are these people that make the decisions for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I love, by the way, how Goodell tries to distance himself from it and say this is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This isn't the NFL. This has got nothing to do with the NFL. Oh, okay. Right. The guys just happen to play in the NFL, but it's got nothing to do with it. Anyway, most of these guys are media. So there's one media representative per city, except for New York and LA. They get 2 because they've got 2 teams.
Right.
So there's 32 and then 2, so there's 34 media guys, and then the rest of them are what they call at-large guys who they don't represent a specific city, but they work in football. Okay, like Lisa Salter. She's on the sidelines on Monday Night Football. She has a vote. There's another woman that you've seen her probably in clips, Charlene Williams. She's based down in Dallas. She went to bat for Chuck Howley. She also is a voter. But some of the more notable people that you would probably know these names, Vic Carucci. These are all guys that he's represented Buffalo.
Right.
Rick Goslin, he represents the Cowboys.
Right.
John McNair out of Houston. John McNair. You see a lot of these guys on the NFL films or like the 10 greatest this, and they have all these lists.
Yeah.
Those guys talk on there, a lot of these guys. So these Howard Balzer, He's another guy that he's been with Gary Myers. He's been around for years. He's on the list. Okay. Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets.
Yeah.
He used to be on, I think he still is on the Fan. He's on there. Jarrett Bell, who writes for the USA Today. These are the guys that are voting, the men and women who are voting. So people have an idea of who, they go, who's good. Now they demand that people are mad because of Belichick. They want to know who voted against him. That's the new thing now. We want to know. You should be able. You have to make your vote right. That's what they're saying. You have to make your vote. We need transparency. That's a political word. Now they're putting in here transparency. That's what they want.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Revealing, I don't know. Then the guy's liable to get hate mail and people following him. People are crazy now. If you find out who didn't vote for Belichick.
Mark froze up.
Now that guy's name is froze up.
Yeah, you're good now though, Mark.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You froze up for a minute. But you were saying it wasn't a good idea.
I'm not sure that's a good idea that we should know who voted for who, because there's a lot of crazy people out there that they might if they find out, oh, this guy didn't vote for Belichick, and then he might wind up knocking on Belichick's door.
And by the way, Mark, it's not just these guys. It's also players. There are guys that played or were involved in football. I didn't even really know that. That there's 4 players or coaches that you would know. Dan Fouts is on this committee. Bill Polian, he was a general manager. James Lofton and Tony Dungy. Those are 4 guys that are also on this list. I wasn't aware of that.
So 3 former players, and I don't ever remember that before. I don't ever remember any former players being on the committee. That must be.
Yeah, well, that's this. I think Mark, probably because they're involved now in other, like Dan Fouts still does stuff with the NFL. James Lofton is still doing radio. He does radio broadcasts of the NFL. And Tony Dungy, obviously, he's on Sunday Night Football. So they are in other areas, but those 3 guys were, former players.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know that Tony Dungy was a player, Like a lot of people think he was just a coach.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a big star. Played for the Steelers, I think, for the majority of his career, or maybe all of his career. So I'm sure he got overlooked with all the big names on that team.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk, Mark, about some of the players who took a long time to get in, which was my point to that guy that I left the message for.
Right.
The guy's talking about this and that. Look, what about these other guys? But go ahead with that, Mark.
Well, I also remember them, maybe not quite as bad as what's happening with Belichick. But I remember Michael Strahan did not get in his first year of eligibility. And people were going crazy, like it was the crime of the century.
Yes.
Like, it's not, it's not that big. It's not life or death here. I think sometimes we make it a little too important, He eventually got in. He had to wait his turn like everybody else. Not everyone's going to get in immediately. So, yeah, I did a little research. And we got guys on here. I'll start with Night Train Lane, cornerback. He became eligible. This guy's on the 75th anniversary team and the 100th anniversary team. He made both of those teams, 75th and 100th anniversary team. That means he's one of the greatest players to ever play. Okay? He didn't get in right away. He was eligible in 1971. He didn't get in until 1974. Next we have Roosevelt Brown, tackle. Same thing, 75th anniversary team, 100th anniversary team. He made both of these teams eligible in 1971. He had to wait 4 years. Didn't get in until 1975. I mean, next, anytime you want to chime in, Dave, I don't mind. You can interrupt.
Yep.
Next guy I have here is Jim Taylor, the fullback for the Packers during their great dynasty. This guy, he was the only guy in Jim Brown played for 9 years. He led the league in rushing 8 of those 9 years. The only guy to beat him out for the rushing title in 1962 was Jim Taylor. Jim Taylor, 1962 NFL MVP. 1961 and 1962, he had a 5.4 average, rushing average. 1964, he had a 5.0 rushing average. I mean, you just don't. That's not common. That's not common to have.
Unbelievable, Mark.
Yeah, he didn't get in right away. Became eligible in 1973. He didn't get inducted till 1976. So, I mean, I'll go on, but to your point,
what happens, Mark, is this is what's going on. Because of the media, you mentioned the media before. I don't know if we were on or off talking about it, but
that's what
because of the media, okay, this is the new thing now. It's become chic. It's become, it's like a whole nother thing being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Right. You know, they made a joke. I think it was, I forgot if it was Steve Young or somebody was getting interviewed this week, which, by the way, is still one of my favorite weeks for football because they have great interviews with guys. Remember years ago, they used to bring guests up on WFAN?
Yep.
That was my favorite week of the whole year. And they had some great, they'd be down on Radio Row in the Super Bowl. Chris Russo, in fact, was a guest this week.
Right.
On with, not Rich Eisen, but the other guy who was on ESPN for years, Dan Patrick. And Chris Russo came on, Mad Dog Russo, and was talking about his first year on Radio Row was the Cowboys against the Bills, the first Super Bowl they played in 92. He goes, they put us, at first they had us in the lobby of the hotel. Then they set aside a different section of the hotel, like a conference room, and all the radio guys were going in there.
Right.
And so that changed, but that's now 30-something years ago, so it's gotten bigger. But Steve Young, I think, said, he goes, you know, they have a different color. He was kidding. He goes, they have a different gold jacket for the guys that are first ballot Hall of Famers. But he was just making a joke, meaning it's gotten to that point where, you know, guys want to be a first ballot. You know, years ago, a guy was flattered if he just got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now they want to be first ballot Hall of Famers, okay?
Yeah. Getting in's not good enough anymore. Yeah, it's not good enough.
No, it's, you know, and it's, look, it's a very subjective process. I looked at it with Eli Manning this week. I saw guys talking about Eli Manning, and they were all sports guys. You know, there was a panel of guys, and they were saying, you know, his very pedestrian statistics, interception to ratio, touchdown ratio, not too good. This, that, and the other thing, win, you know, his regular record, his season record, not too good. And then, you know, one guy says, well, listen, he had 2 runs at the Super Bowl.
Right.
He was 8-0 in all of those games.
Yeah.
Okay? 7 of those 8 games were on the road. 7 out of 8. A brutal game against the 49ers and a brutal game against the Packers up there in Green Bay.
Right.
Okay? So in those 2 years, 7 of his 8 playoff games were on the road. He won all of them. And then he beat supposed GOAT greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Another thing I'd like to debate. He beat him twice. 2 times.
Right.
1 year, right? Undefeated almost. And the second time, and the greatest coach of all time, according to everybody today.
Right.
He beat them both.
Yeah.
Okay, twice.
Says a lot.
So one guy was saying, and he didn't beat him with these star players at receiver. 2 of the greatest catches, David Tyree and Mario Manningham on the sideline. Okay,
Right.
in those 2 games. So that's what the other guys was bringing up, and I'm thinking to myself, see, that's how polarizing it could be in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone has their own opinion, and they're going to bring up all kinds of different aspects of the guy's game. Like you said, they're going to look at touchdown to interception ratio and all that. And these guys, I mean, people criticize the committee members, but I can't even imagine what a tough job that must be. You're presented with, what do they start with? I don't know. The first, it's something like 60. They're handed a list of something like 60 players.
Yes, exactly.
And that's not easy. You got to go. How do you, you have to eliminate guys that were great players, because you can't put 60 guys.
They chisel it down too. It goes from 60 to some, and it finally gets to 15.
Right.
And then besides the 15, you have the other little group of 5 that I just spoke about a little bit ago. But
right.
But go ahead, Mark. I want to hear the rest of these guys that you're talking about that were not first ballot Hall of Famers that waited to get in.
Yeah. Okay, we got defensive end Doug Atkins, 100th anniversary team. He's on it. That means he's one of the 100 greatest players to ever play in the NFL. He became eligible in 1975. He had to wait 7 years. 1982, he finally got inducted. Linebacker Bobby Bell, another guy.
Great.
100th anniversary team. 9 Pro Bowls. 9 Pro Bowls. Eligible in 1980, he had to wait 3 years. Didn't get in until 1983. Middle linebacker, Bobby Bell's teammate, Willie Lanier.
Tremendous.
75th anniversary team, 100th anniversary team. Eligible in 1983. Didn't get inducted until 3 years later, 1986. We got Don Maynard for the Jets, wide receiver. First receiver to gain 10,000 yards in his career. First receiver to ever do that. 18.7 average per catch. None of these guys today have an average like that.
No.
Not even close. He was eligible in 1979. He didn't get in until 1987. So the point is, and I'll go on. I'll continue, but I don't want to just.
Yeah.
I don't want to just make it about this. But the point is, guys years ago had to wait their turn. Even guys that were on the 75th and 100th anniversary team had to wait their turn. And the modern day players, because of the media coverage, these modern day players, a lot of them, they don't have to wait. And when they, like you said, when they do have to wait, they're up in arms. They're complaining that, I had to wait 2 years to get in the Hall of. Years ago, like you said, a guy was honored. He didn't care that he had to wait. He was just honored that he got in.
Yeah, it's a different mindset. I saw Darren Woodson, who was actually one of the finalists this year, and he's running out of time. He's only got he'll become a senior member, I think, in 2 years.
Right.
So he's got 2 more cracks at it, I think. 2 or 3, I'm not sure. And he blatantly came out and he said, I'm not embarrassed. I've been wanting this for a long time. He said, I shouldn't have to feel embarrassed about how I feel. And I get it. Listen, Drew Pearson really brought a lot of attention to this.
Right.
You know, and what made him get upset that day, you know the clip I'm talking about where he's in the kitchen at his house there?
Yep.
And he's surrounded by the people. He's actually breaks down. He's in tears. And then he apologizes for it. And he says, you know, and what he was referring to, though, was he was on the all-decade team, I think, or I can't remember what team it was, but
Right.
and his backup, Harold Carmichael, got in before he did.
Right.
And he wasn't, he said he deserves to get in. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But then he made the point. Got it. He did get in the following year, but that shined a whole new light on things for the Hall of Fame. Because look, we've been following football 50 years more.
Right.
The Hall of Fame, all of a sudden, the weekend would come and you're like, oh, here's some new members for the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even a big, you know what I mean? Like you almost forgot about it.
Right.
And you go, oh yeah, that guy deserves to get in.
Yeah.
And now it's covered ad nauseum.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And who's gonna make it? And they just had a show today. I didn't watch it, but they were predicting of this new class who was gonna get in.
Right.
And so, but I got some guys, Mark, before you go on with your list. I want to bring up some of these guys that are not in the Hall of Fame that I think should be in the Hall of Fame. I looked up some of their records. I looked up their careers. So I want to start with Mike Ken. Okay, here's a guy who's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay,
Is he a
he
tackle?
played in 200.
Was he a
Yes,
tackle?
exactly.
Tackle. Mm-hmm.
Yes, for the Atlanta Falcons, correct.
Right.
251 out of 251 games.
Wow.
Okay? Started and played in every game. Mike Ken. 5-time, let me tell you something. This is another big thing before I go on. When they started letting fans vote for the Pro, that was a downfall of it. 1995 was the first year. So prior to 95, the Pro Bowl was voted upon by your peers.
Right.
Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Now, this guy did all these things. And Mike Ken, so the All-Pros meant a lot back then. He was a 5-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. So,
Right.
over a third of his career, he was at the best of his position. Okay, this guy's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Hey.
Okay, another guy. They don't even talk about this guy. I don't think he ran the wrong way. I don't give a crap. He ran the wrong way. Jim Marshall. This is this disgrace that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Now he's deceased, by the way. For those that don't know, 282 games this guy played in the defensive end. 282. Okay? 130 sacks unofficially. Doesn't matter. They're recorded on tape. They go to these teams, and teams have these things recorded.
Right.
Okay? 130 sacks for Jim Marshall. Something to sneeze at. 30 fumble recoveries. Played in 4 Super Bowls, okay? This guy is not in the Hall of Fame. It's a disgrace, really.
Right.
It really is. And he doesn't even you don't even hear about him, okay? And another guy, while we're at that, another guy for the Vikings who should be in. I know he doesn't have gaudy numbers, but it was a different game in the 1970s. Chuck Foreman should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't care what anybody says, okay? Here's a guy, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-team All-Pro. When I mean All-Pro, I mean first and second team combined. Doesn't matter, okay?
Right.
Whether you're the first or second best of your position. They list second team All-Pro, so he's an All-Pro, okay? He had about 6,000 yards rushing, nothing tremendous. 53 touchdowns, pretty good for 1970s. And he had over 3,000 yards receiving. He had 350 receptions, okay? He was the first guy to gain anything in those statistics since Lenny Moore.
Right.
Since Lenny Moore retired, Chuck Foreman was the next best thing. He was Roger Craig before Roger Craig, who may get in this year. In fact, I think he is getting in. It kind of leaked out that he's going to get in. And he doesn't have the amount that Roger Craig has, okay? But
Right.
It was a different game. It was 10 years prior. Craig started in 83. Chuck Foreman was 73.
Yeah.
A whole completely different game.
Played less games for
And-
one thing. They played less
games for one thing.
Yeah.
Listen, this guy got it done on a you know, and you know, the funny part is he talks about it. There's an interview with him, and he's talking about the coach telling him, you know, you're not going to get recognized for this.
Right.
We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But you're not going to be recognized for it.
Yeah.
You know, Bud Grant told him that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is great to me because, you know, he was right, Bud Grant. He was right.
Yeah, the receiving yards. I do remember the biggest thing. There was one other guy, too. Chuck Foreman was one. And then in the AFC, Lydell Mitchell. They were both...
Yes, for the Colts.
Yes, they both got a tremendous amount of receptions and yardage receiving. And that gets overlooked. Lydell Mitchell and Chuck Foreman both get overlooked because they don't have tremendous amount of rushing yards. But look at their receiving. They both led the league in receiving more than once.
I mean, Roger Craig raised it up to another level. I think he got up to like 15,000 all-purpose yards, something like that. But Chuck Foreman led the league in touchdowns twice. You know, and he also led the league in receptions as a running back one time. 73 receptions in 1 year.
Yep.
Okay. And you know, you could say, well, this is not. No, he was not very good. He was better than very good.
Right.
All he got to do is what. And sometimes we're just talking about numbers, Mark. You had to watch. You got to watch players. You can't. It's just not about numbers.
No, you got to see.
You got to watch them.
Game
what
footage.
he meant to his team. Yeah, exactly.
Not just highlight reels. You got to watch game footage.
Yes,
I remember.
He was really one of the first guys, Mark, to do that spin move.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yep. And Fran Tarkenton, not to take anything away from Fran Tarkenton, he belongs in the Hall of Fame, but Fran Tarkenton's got a lot of his yardage, a lot of his passing yardage is from throwing a 5-yard pass to Chuck Foreman, and then Chuck Foreman would run 60 yards for a touchdown. And he wouldn't get...
Oh, right, you know.
Yeah, he wouldn't get the credit for it. Tarkenton would get all the credit. And Foreman did all the work. He'd take a 5-yard...
No, he did it.
Yeah.
He did the Cowboys in 73.
That's right.
Remember
That's
that?
Right.
Remember that game?
I remember it too well. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Mark, with that list again.
Okay, I'll name a few more. We got Mike Ditka. Again, 75th anniversary team. 100th anniversary team. 1978, he became eligible. He waited 10 years. Didn't get in until 1988. 10 years. Why? I don't know. John Mackey, another tight end, made the 100th anniversary team. He waited 14 years. Became eligible in 1978. Didn't get in until 1992. Now there we get back to what you were talking about earlier about media, people holding a grudge. There may have been, there was a lot of talk at the time that there was people holding a grudge against John Mackey because he was the players' rep for the union. He was the leader of the union rep. And so there was a lot of NFL owners that did not like John Mackey. Guard Larry Little. And again, back to actually watching these guys. I saw the guy play. He might have been the best pulling guard I ever saw.
Yeah, you loved Larry Little. You always talk about him.
Yeah. You look at the game footage of he was voted the best offensive lineman in the NFL 3 times. 1986 he became eligible. Didn't get in till 7 years later. Okay, now we got a Dallas Cowboy. One of our guys, Mel Renfro.
Oh,
10 Pro Bowls.
I know what you're going to say. Yes, sir.
The guy went to 10 Pro Bowls. And like you said,
Yeah.
that's not when the fans were voting on it. That's when your peers,
That's right.
Your peers were
That's
voting
right.
on it. When it meant something to make a Pro Bowl.
That's right. Not this garbage today. Flag football they're playing. Go ahead.
1983 became eligible. Didn't get into,
Yeah.
had to wait 13 years. Didn't get until
Yeah.
1996.
Yeah.
13 years he had to wait.
What a disgrace, Mark.
And these guys complained because they got to wait 1 or 2 years.
No, it's a disgrace. Listen.
It's the media
Listen.
coverage. It's the media coverage. These guys that
No,
we
that's
watched.
it.
Yeah. These guys we watched in the 1970s. They didn't have anywhere near the media coverage that these guys have now. Not even close. So they get forgotten about.
That's part of the problem. I mean, I got a few other guys that I think should be in, Mark, that are not in.
Yeah, go
and one
ahead.
of them is, and believe it or not, some of them I didn't even think at first. I mean, maybe a few years ago, but now when you start to re-examine and you look, you got a guy like Everson Walls, okay? I never really thought of him as a Hall of Famer, but he played in 170 of 186 games. He played 13 years. He had 11 interceptions his rookie year. He had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
The year that they went and they lost to San Francisco with the catch. He had a great year that year, okay? He was kind of overlooked. But when you look at him, the guy's got 57 interceptions, I believe. 57 picks. Okay? He's got more than Aeneas Williams. He's got more than Mike Haynes.
Right.
Okay? These guys are all in. He's got more, you know what I mean? He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. Not a lot, but listen, he was steady.
Yeah.
He played a long time. He was very, very, very good. He matches up with numbers-wise with guys that are already in. You can make a case for Everson. You can make a case for Everson Walls, I think.
I was really happy
ahead,
to
Mark,
see
go
him.
ahead.
I was really happy to see him get a Super Bowl ring, even though it wasn't with the Cowboys. He finally
Yes.
got a Super Bowl ring with the Giants,
Yes, with the Giants. Yes, that's right.
and he deserved it.
Another guy you can make a case for is Clay Matthews, the linebacker for the Browns.
Right.
Okay? He played 19 years, Mark.
Wow.
19 big ones, buddy. He
Unbelievable.
played from 248 games out of 278. I think the end of his career, he missed some games, but I think he was just, not starting at that point. But
Right.
19 seasons, 16 interceptions. It's a pedestrian-like numbers. Nothing. 14 fumble recoveries. 82 sacks, though, from the linebacker position. That's
lot.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he was a 4-time Pro Bowler, only 1 All-Pro. But you know something? It's not like baseball where they say these guys are compilers. You don't compile stuff playing in a physical sport like football. I'm sorry.
No.
Just the fact that you could play that many years and play in that many games, that itself is a feat.
Sure
They
is.
don't understand that. That counts for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in football. You know what I mean? You're not just compiling,
No.
okay?
No. Anyone that could play more than 10 years is quite an accomplishment with the amount of punishment your body takes. For 19
That's correct.
years, 19 years is just it's unthinkable. That's like 2 careers. Who else you got?
It's I got Lester Hayes, Mark. The guy, they didn't throw to his thing a lot because he was kind of like Deion Sanders a little before Deion Sanders, but he was a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was All-Pro once. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 1980. He's on the All-Decade team.
Yeah.
The All-Decade team.
Right. And he was physical,
He's
right?
not in.
He was
Not in. Yeah.
He wouldn't let you come. Their first 5 yards. He was physical with receivers. He wouldn't let you. He wouldn't give you any space.
They talk about, stick 'em and all this other garbage. Stick 'em. They got these gloves, these guys today.
Oh.
The wetter the ball gets and the wetter the weather is, the stickier they get. They interviewed the receiver for the Seahawks the other day, right after the game. Najigma. Okay, that's his last name. And he said, the lady says that was on the sideline, I forgot her name. She says, how'd you get that catch? Let's talk about that one-handed catch. He said, well, I knew I couldn't reach it with 2 hands, so I just stuck my hand and it stuck to it. That's exactly what he said. And the ball stuck to it.
Right.
These guys wouldn't be making these catches without the gloves.
No, not even. People don't understand what a difference it makes to not have gloves. There's no way.
It's the initial. Once the ball gets gripped or stuck to,
right,
your hands, then that's all you got to do is get it under control. It's already there. Half the job is already done.
That's right. Yep.
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's exciting, and these guys make it. It's all just whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is, Mark. I get aggravated, but he summed it all up. He said I stuck my hand out and the ball stuck to it.
At least he was honest. He recognized that it was the glove that did it for him.
I got one more, John. Mark. I'm sorry. Tackle Joe Jacoby.
Oh yeah.
13 years. He played, okay? And a lot of people say Russ Grimm, his counterpart there. He was a guard for the Redskins. Jacoby was a tackle. A lot of people say Russ Grimm shouldn't be in. Jacoby's numbers are better. And I didn't realize this. I forgot about it. Jacoby was a free agent. Jacoby was never drafted.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. No. I didn't realize that.
Wow. Free agent.
148 games. He played in 148. He started out of 170. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and he won 3. He was a member of 3 Super Bowls. Super Bowls are a team thing, but when they're looking at you for the Hall of Fame, they always throw that in there, so it must mean something.
That's right.
Super Bowls.
That's right. Yeah, and look at that offensive line they had. That's another thing I get annoyed with. This is kind of off the topic, but since you're bringing up an offensive lineman. Always hear about, Emmitt Smith wouldn't have been as good without that offensive line. What about that offensive line John Riggins ran behind? The Hogs. That was a tremendous offensive line. Now I'm not going to take credit away from John Riggins because he had a great offensive line. Look at how many players, you look at the history of the game. People don't know the history. You go down the line and look at how many running backs had a great offensive line. Emmitt Smith is not the only one who had a great offensive line. There's a lot of running backs that had a great offensive line.
That's right. You could look at Marcus Allen.
Right.
He had a great line.
That's right. Yep.
Right. Shell and Upshaw were still there for Marcus Allen, I think. Right?
I'm not sure if they were still there, but, Larry Zonka, Jim Brown had a great offensive line. But people don't understand that a great running back makes an offensive line play better. They don't get that part.
Yeah.
They don't get that part.
No, it's yeah.
I remember Nate Newton, right? I remember Nate Newton said that. He said, I was here before Emmitt Smith. I was average, maybe even below average offensive lineman. Maybe even below. I was just a fat, slow guy. When Emmitt Smith got there, he said, when Emmitt Smith got there, my career took off. I became a way better offensive lineman because of Emmitt Smith.
Yes.
There's nothing.
Exactly right.
Nothing an offensive line likes better than to have a great running back running behind them, knowing that their block is going to mean something.
No, listen, he was. I mean, he came from the Redskins, and he thought he was going to, they told Jerry Jones, these guys, he wasted his, he ate himself out of a position.
Right.
But he hung in there. Listen, you got to give him credit.
Yeah.
He hung in there with that training camp with Jimmy.
That's right.
Okay, that first year, he was brutal. But, what's his name commented on that, by the way? I want to tell you something. Jim Jeffcoat commented. Jim Jeffcoat was a guest on an old-timer show. I was just watching it. And he said, they talked about Jimmy Johnson's training camps being brutal. He said, I've been to both. How was it both? Landry's were tougher.
Yeah.
He said, Landry's practices lasted 3 hours.
Wow.
3 hours of content. He said, Jimmy's, okay, there was hitting and this. He said, but Landry's were very physical as far as being in condition and everything.
That's right.
And Jim Jeffcoat said this was a little easier, he said.
Yeah.
Wasn't as hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really realize that. I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah. There was a lot of running. Landry believed in a lot of running.
Yeah. Randy White talked about that. He said he passed him out on the Landry Mile. And he said, we saw the coach ahead of us.
Yeah.
And he said, boy, I'm never gonna make the team, he said. Yeah.
Yep. Right, I got 5 more guys that had to wait.
Go ahead.
That will conclude part 1 of our discussion on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you, and God bless.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you got to do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you got to do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.